Oh, great.
This episode of The Inspiration Show is super special because Emma Pittman is joining me. Emma is truly one of my favorite people and has had such a special impact on my life and my theater journey. Emma is an incredibly talented actor, dancer, and singer who has been in multiple productions, but is currently portraying the role of Cherry Valance in The Outsiders on Broadway, and it's true what they say, she's sweeter than a cherry. Thank you so much, Emma, for joining me. I have so much love and admiration for you, and it's such an honor to have you here.
It's my greatest pleasure to be here today with you.
I love you. You're the greatest. So, when did you discover that you had a passion for singing and theater?
Oh, that's a really great question. I started dancing when I was 2, and I loved being on the stage. I loved doing all different types of dance. I did like jazz and hip hop and tap, and I went to a new school when I was in the ninth grade, and they had a theater program. And I had been a huge listener of the Wicked soundtrack and the Hairspray soundtrack because my mom and dad had gone to New York one summer and they brought them back, and I was like, "This is amazing! I kind of love this!" And I would, of course, act out all of the parts, and I would play both Glinda and Elphaba in my home. And so when I got to high school, when I got to this new high school where they had a theater program, I was like, I could be interested in trying. That sounds great. And I remember in the audition process for The Wizard of Oz, we were being taught the dance combination, and she was telling us the intention behind the movement. And I was like, I love that. I never thought about that's such a great idea. And then maybe this could be for this part of this storytelling moment. And that's kind of when I knew that I was in love with storytelling as it is permeating through all of musical theater, like in all facets, singing and acting and dancing. So yeah, I think it was through high school that I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing. This thing is cool for me.
Oh, yeah, no, that's my favorite thing too about, like, being an actor and a dancer is, like, the storytelling and the intention behind it. Like, in theater school, I think they teach us, like, "Okay, your character is walking over there now, but why are you walking there? Put some intention into it." And I think it's so funny, like you were saying, the storytelling, because all of the 3 Broadway shows that you've done are, like, major beloved stories that everybody knows, and they've
Yeah,
all been movies,
that's
and they're
so
just such
true.
and they're such well-known stories, so I think that's kind of full circle for you there too.
100%.
Yeah. So what would you say really inspired you to become a performer, and who's been an inspiration of yours throughout your career?
Hmm. That's a really great question. I think that growing up in Mississippi, there's not a lot of access when I was growing up there to theater. Like doing the Broadway.com vlogs has been like such a great gift to, gift people. When I think about like little me in Mississippi, like I would have loved to see these Broadway.com vlogs. And I think that the the thing that kind of like sideways inspired me was hearing people not really think of theater as a real career. And I was like, no, because I feel like these people do have lives, they do, there is an ability to do what you love and still make money off of it, like still have a career of, do a business of making something that you love. And so I think it was, I don't know if it was maybe like the Disney heart inside of me of like all of the classic films that are like, if you follow your heart, if you follow your dreams, if you really put your mind to it, a la
Oh,
Back to the Future. Like, I think there was just always this like, no, I feel that I'm supposed to do this, and so I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna listen to my teachers. I'm going to let them guide me, and I'm going to just shoot for the stars and not look back.
yeah, because if you do what you love, you really never work a day in your life, and I think that's so special about theater because, you get to do what you love, and then you also have an audience who love theater, and, that's what you get to do for them, and it's just so special.
It's a gift that keeps on giving for sure.
There's no words to describe theater. There are so many times where, like, people come on the show and talk so beautifully, and all I can say is, theater is magic because, hey, Sky, words fail. Like, you can't describe theater with
A
words.
thousand percent, 1,000%. It's so much more.
It's so incredible. So can you take us back to the first time you experienced theater and how you're feeling at the time?
I think I think okay, I'll talk about two times because the first time I actually first experienced theater, I turned 4 years old, and my mom and my dad and my grandma took me to Memphis, which is about an hour and a half away from where I grew up, and we went to go see the touring production of Beauty and the Beast. And I made it almost through the first number before I was like, no, that thing is too scary. We're out of here. That thing, no, I don't like that. I'm scared. I'm scared. Let's leave, please. So I didn't make it through my first one. It didn't go very well, sadly. But I think my first like theater experience that like really blew me away was Wicked. Wicked came to the Orpheum when I was in like the 10th grade, and I had grown up listening to that soundtrack that my mom and dad brought back, and I had all of these like amazing ideas. And you know, when you listen to a soundtrack and you've never seen the show, your imagination is the vehicle that takes you on the journey of the story. And like there were some parts I was like, I can't imagine how they do this. Like, what does the wizard look like? You know, how did they make these all of the aspects of the story. I had so many questions, and I was so curious about how they were going to bring it to life, and then to see it brought to life like uh, even better than I could have ever imagined at the Orpheum in the touring production of Wicked. I was so moved, I was so impressed, and I also like felt like I really believe I can do that. Like I see people who have that same passion and that same love for storytelling on that stage doing what I dream of doing. So because I see it, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, oh, and I agree with that so much, and it's so funny because I had that same experience with The Outsiders actually, because like, I was
Really?
telling you, it was my entire grade 7 year, like,
Oh
I knew
right.
that story like the back of my hand, and then when I found out some of my favorite people were bringing it to Broadway, at first I was like, "Oh my goodness," and then second of all, I was like, "How is this gonna look like translated on a stage?" And then I
Right.
saw the pictures of the rumble and the rain, spoiler alert, and then I was like, "Oh, here we go." I'm
Right.
so excited. I'm so excited.
100%.
It's so awesome to see how, you can take a script and it just becomes a whole new magical thing. It's so awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing how it starts with just words and then it becomes an entire world. It's amazing.
It's so awesome. So, fast forward to now, you've been a part of 3 Broadway shows. So, let's start at the beginning where you made your Broadway debut in Chicago after
Mhm.
winning The Search for Roxy. So, can you share a little bit about that experience? Because I'm so curious.
Absolutely. So the search for Roxy was a search created by Chicago the Musical and Broadway.com. And it was kind of a la the search for Elle Woods, which was a search for Elle and Legally Blonde, the musical on MTV, but on a different scale. It's something that was on YouTube rather than being streamed on MTV. And the way that it worked was anybody who is interested in trying to play the role would send in a recording of them singing Roxy, doing the Roxy monologue, and doing the Hot Honey Rag. And from there, they watched all the videos and they chose 10 people to go to the next round. And then it was like American Idol, where you voted for your favorite. And then the top three made it to New York City to audition in front of Anne Ranking, BB Newworth, and Bianca Marroquin to be chosen to be the next Roxy. And so I auditioned in like, I want to say early September of 20, what year was that? 2019? Yeah. And I found out I was top 10 on my birthday in October. And then it was one of the most beautiful parts of the process was the voting period. Like everyone from my hometown, from the communities that like brought me to where I am today, really stood up for me and were like posting and calling and making sure that people were getting out and voting. And all of it paid off because then I ended up being in the top three, and I got to become friends with the two other contestants, Kate and Khalifa, and we all supported one another and lifted each other up in our journeys to figure out what our Roxy looks like. And in the end, they ended up choosing me to be the next Roxy on Broadway. And they announced the winner in January of 2020, and then COVID happened, and I finally got to make my Broadway debut in June of 2022 after Pamela Anderson.
That's so awesome. And then you went back, not recently, because it was still a couple years ago, but you went back to do it
Yeah,
again.
and then in the fall, yeah, I covered I ended up playing an ensemble part that covered Roxy because someone was out on a medical leave, and it was like such a gift to be on a different part of the show and to see it from a different angle and to dance some of those iconic numbers like the Cell Block Tango.
Yeah, no, that's so fun, and I have to say, it's just so awesome because I walk through Times Square and I see you on the billboards and I see you on the trash cans, and then Erin and I, on a two-show day at Parade, in the morning, we went to the Museum of Broadway, and it's when they had the Chicago exhibit, and
Such a
we were
cool
taking
exhibit.
pictures, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's Emma!" Like, it's so cool to see you.
Yeah, it's I mean that's like one of those dream come true things. Like you're not like living the dream until you're on a trash can in Times Square. Like
Oh,
it's so iconic.
it was so funny. I was walking through Times Square with my mom, and I was throwing out my Starbucks cup, and I go, "Hi, Emma," and my mom's like, "Are you talking to the trash can?" I'm like, "No, Emma's
Oh
on the
yes.
trash can." Uh, so you were also part of the original Broadway cast of Back to the Future, the musical. So what was it like for you getting to be part of telling this iconic story on a Broadway stage as an original Broadway cast member?
It was so cool, and it was like an enormous amount of people in that show were making their Broadway debut or making their OBC debut. Like even with Hugh Coles, who had been a part of the show in London, who plays the dad, he was this is his first time on Broadway, so he got to originate a role on Broadway as well as become a part of this company of a show that hopefully will continue to have a long running history on Broadway. It was such a blast working with those people. That show is so much fun. The tech is unbelievable, and the community of people who created that show were nothing but a fun. Like we always had fun. We were always giggling. We were always ha ha hee heeing. We were always making finding the joy in our day. Like never was that a place where I felt like I was going to work.
Okay, no, it's such an incredible cast. You all
Yeah.
are incredible. I love you all. Oh, so awesome. So, what were some highlights and or favorite memories from your time at Back to the Future?
Oh my goodness, I have so many. Let's see. I got to experience Broadway bowling, which was the one of my first ever understandings of like how cool the Broadway community is. Like we have lots of different leagues of different types of sports, one of which is bowling, where we have our own teams for each show. And as long as people keep showing up, like you can keep doing Broadway bowling even after your show is closed.
Mhm.
So I've gone to and the bowling league is all in to raise money for Broadway Cares. Like it's not just for community; it's actually to financially help the community as well. So that's one of my favorite memories is bowling with all of my crazy friends and getting to see the history of Broadway at a bowling alley. There was this group from Once, who is one of my favorite shows, which was also in the Jacobs, and they still have a bowling team to this day, and they always show up and they always put their best ball forward. I guess maybe.
Yeah,
Um, that was a blast. I think that getting to do my quick changes were always super fun at Back to the Future because I had a lot and I had a
yeah.
lot of fast ones. And then one of my favorite memories for sure forever would be my last show there. There were so many people that showed up for me at the beginning of the night, and like we kind of circled up before the last show, and everybody from cast to crew were surrounded and excited and sad and happy for me. And as I went through my show, I have so many fond memories of people making silly signs and giving me little gifts. And I
Aw.
remember one of the last moments that I was on stage, the spotlight stayed on me for a second, and it felt like a beautiful like goodbye to the
Aw.
yeah.
And I have to shout out Teacher Joyce. I
Shout out Teacher Joyce.
we can't not shout out Teacher
She's
Joyce.
the best track. She's the most iconic, memorable moment.
She's the best. So, you are currently portraying the role of Cherry Valance in The Outsiders on Broadway.
Right.
So, before getting cast in the show, were you at all familiar with the story, and why'd you feel the need to be part of telling this story?
Oh man. So similarly to you, I felt like there was a time in my life when like everything was Outsiders. I had read the book when I was in high school, and then we did a play version of The Outsiders when I was in the 10th grade. And I got to play Marcia. And I remember in the auditions, I was like, I need to be Cherry. Like I know her, I get it. There's something about like being misunderstood that I feel like I get from her perspective. And I ended up playing Marcia, which was even better because I got to get to know Cherry and like observe her and learn from her. And the girl who played Cherry, her name is Meredith. She was amazing in the part. Um, and I've always loved this story. I've always loved Cherry and been seen by her. And so when I got the audition, I was like, yes. Even if I don't get it, I'm just like 10th grade Emma is like,
Yeah.
get the chance to say things are rough all over, like to mean it, to feel it, to get it, to share it. From my perspective, just in the audition room was a gift.
Oh, no, 7th grade Alison is going to be crying in the audience.
Oh
I
yeah,
I remember hearing the Stay Gold song. I was like, "Oh," I sobbed, and then, like, Great Expectations is gonna be number 1 on my Spotify Wrapped this year. I am calling it
I
now.
love it. I can't wait. I can't wait to
I'm
see when it
so
comes.
excited for the cast album. You and Brody recording in the Call Me Cherry vlogs. I was laughing at that for an hour. Like, I was so excited for the cast album.
Oh my god, I love it.
So I have to talk to you about your preparation for the show as well, because you got to meet Essie Hinton, and then you got to go to Tulsa, and you got to go to her school where she actually wrote the book. So I wanna hear all about that.
Oh man, it was so cool. It was like we got to fly down to Tulsa, and the people of Tulsa were so nice. Met I've never been a part of a community like in America that was so like excited about the history of their town. Like the history of Tulsa, it runs very very deep, and there's a lot of like dark areas of it, but they feel so passionate about how it's made them who they are, that they just shine light on those things that are terrible. And they like the fires in Black Wall Street. They've dedicated an entire museum to that story of that history, the things that weren't told, that were like swept under the rug for such a long time. Now there's such a really beautiful museum there in Black Wall Street where they unveil all of the things that happen, and it's told with grace, and it's told with truth. It's the pride in which the people of Tulsa have is a pride in which I've never experienced before, and I think that the fire and the like spirit of Tulsa is what is told through the outsiders. Like that is the thing that keeps pushing people in that story to survive, is that spirit of like we have something greater than us moving forward, and we have to believe in that, because otherwise we won't make it. Meeting Essie Hinton was so unbelievable cool. She's so nice. She loves the characters. We got to like have dinner with her and ask her any questions that we had about the book, and she's just so open, and she's funny, and she's so full of information and wisdom, and also she is very open to allowing the story to continue to grow and turn into what it is now, what this telling of the outsiders in 2024, while trying to reflect the truth and the history of 1967 on a Broadway stage. Like she's not trying to let it she was the same way with the movie. She explained, she was like, this is not going to be the book, because the book is the book, and now we're making this movie version where we're creating this new world while using the book as a baseline. And it's the same for telling the story in a musical form. um, yeah, going to Tulsa was such a great way to get in the mindset and have the history of what this story came from before coming into um, the process of rehearsals. And I think one of the coolest parts was we got to go, like you said, to the high school, and we got to meet a lot of the kids who are there today reading the book. And um, they were so, I mean, just like all of us as kids, they're so real, and they were so excited about the idea of their story, of their town being told to another scale higher than just the movie in the 80s, and getting to hear what they wanted from the show to be was was really informational. I remember one of the people was like, I just want you to like really see where you are on stage. Like I want you to see this school. I want you to see the grounds of Tulsa, like make it real for the people in the audience. Don't allow it to just be something you're, putting a surface level layer on. And so that helped us all ground ourselves in the truth of this story and not allow it to be anything other than real. Because teenagers are for real, which is something that Essie Hinton wrote.
Yeah, and I think it's so special that you got to have her be part of your creative process. Like, I can't imagine what that was like for you.
It was really awesome. She was very like on always available to us, but never like in our faces during the process, because the making of any art from the beginning, I wrote down something one of our songwriters said about like writing a song, and how it's like the conception and the birth of it is the most volatile part of creating art, creating a story, creating a song. And if you judge it too quickly as it's being conceived, then you stifle the chance of it getting to grow. And so I think that while she was like a part of the conversation and always here for us, she was never there to like, not that she would judge us, but she was never there to like tell us what was right or wrong because she was letting it be ours. It was awesome.
And I know you guys also went to Curtis Brothers Lane, right?
We sure did.
And
We got to
that's
see the
also where
house.
yeah.
Yeah, we got to go inside the house, and they have um it's a museum now. So it's like kind of right when you walk into the Curtis Brothers house, it looks like exactly how it did when they filmed the movie. And in the back part of the house, they have like a little shop area where you can buy merch that they've created about the outsiders from the movie, from the history of that house. It's so cool.
And then Matt Dillon also came to see the show, so that must have been incredible.
It's so cool. It was so neat to see someone who, I mean, him and Susie Hinton are like good friends. Like they text all the time, and so we knew that he was coming, and we were super excited for him to see the show. And he loved it. I think that he was quite moved by the play, and I can't imagine being a part of something so iconic, like the Outsiders movie must have been an unbelievable, memorable part of his career. And so it was cool to see it impact him from the other way around, like from an
Right.
audience perspective. I think it was like very full circle for him, but also something brand new.
Well, that's so special.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite part about portraying Cherry and getting to tell this beloved story on Broadway?
I think my favorite part is getting to bring um, an interesting voice of like reason and love and being able to showcase empathy in a way that isn't typically showcased in stories that are told of that time, especially from a woman's perspective. I think I would say a young woman, actually, not even just like a woman. Like, sure, we have a couple of motherly parts where people feel seen and like we have motherly parts that try to be the voice of reason, but to be a kid and to try and be the voice of reason, I think is really fascinating, especially from the female perspective in 1967. There are parts of myself that feel very seen growing up a young girl in the South, even in, the years that I grew up. While it wasn't 1967, there was still a lot of, you shouldn't wear that, you shouldn't talk like that, you should have more manners. And like, there were a lot of restrictions that I had learned growing up that made me feel trapped in the same way that Cherry felt trapped in kind of this like in the same way that Ponyboy talks about great expectations. Like she feels that the story writes her, like she's the pretty girl who's got all the money and she'll be able to go to this great college and have a family and then go make babies, like that's kind of the story that is she believes is written for her. But until she meets Ponyboy, she doesn't see the possibility of anything else. And so I think getting to experience that in her shoes every night is a gift. It's a great gift.
It's so awesome, and I have to say, I love the element of the Cherry Ponyboy love story. Like, I love it so much because it's not explored in the book. So I think it's just so special to see that in the musical and see how 2 characters really can come together. It's so special.
Yeah, I love their connection because while it can be viewed as somebody compared it to like in Carousel and the love between the If I Loved You. And I'm like, I think it's interesting because you could also argue that it isn't love, but it's just, or it is love, but maybe not like in just a romantic way, just in a real way. Like, oh my god, like we're both full human beings that have so much more to offer the life that we have been told that we are deserving to live.
Yeah, oh no, I love Cherry, like, even since reading the book, like, I had such a connection to her, and it's so special to watch you do it.
So
And, of course, we have to talk about the drive-in because I know you said that's one of your favorite parts of the show. We gotta talk about it. Like, that car that comes on, it's incredible.
amazing.
So what's that
Amazing.
scene like
It's so
for you?
beautiful. The car is so pretty, and riding in on it, I feel like I'm like leading a parade. Like I feel like $1,000,000 sitting in that car.
Oh,
It's
I
a
love it. And the costume, the wig, like, everything, it just comes together so perfectly, like, you look amazing. I'm so
Makes me
excited.
feel like the most perfect little American Girl doll version of Cherry.
It's perfect. So, you recently recorded The Outsiders' original Broadway cast album coming out on May 22nd. I'm so excited. So what was your experience like recording your first Broadway cast album?
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And we were all kind of like crazy because we had literally just opened the show the weekend before. And so we were doing it on our day off on the Monday. So we were all a little like, is this really happening right now? This is like so kooky crazy, just timing wise. But we were all so it, our team music is chock full of greats. Like people who are, I mean, honestly, the whole show is chock full of greats. Like all of the creatives are some of the greatest of all time. And to be in that studio and to feel a little like crazy because of the way that all of the timing panned out, we felt so calm and taken care of by our team. Our music team is so good at what they do, and they would never put us in a situation where we weren't able to do our best. And so I think most of our feelings were more about, it was a lot of our firsts, it was a lot of our first OBC. So we were nervous that we can always be better, we can always have more sleep, we can always have more this or that, but we just put our full trust in our music team that have the best ear and that knows what sounds great, and they see the greatness in us that sometimes we didn't see. It was amazing. It was so fun. It was so cool to hear the band in the way that we did, like in our ears, because when you're on the stage, we don't have the same mix that is getting put out into the audience. We only have a couple of things that make it onto the stage that we need to sing on top of. So it was
Shout out
really
Boots Singers.
awesome to hear the fullness of our amazing orchestra. Like we
Yeah,
were all so hype getting to hear that.
that's so fun, and shout out Boots Singers.
Shout out Boo Singers because they were there. All the covers, all the understudies, all the swings were there, which is
Oh,
a huge gift.
no, I have to say, like, what's out right now, it's perfection, so I can't wait to hear the rest of it and listen all the way through, and we have to talk about an OBC 12 Tony noms. I'm so proud.
Oh, it's really
Dominating.
unbelievable. I mean, it's an honor. I think we all feel the weight of what I can imagine Susie must have felt when her book took off. I mean, like it's it's bigger than us. Like it's an honor to be a part of it and to be a vehicle that the story takes place through, but it is the story at the end of the day.
It's so special to watch you guys stay gold, and, you're going for the gold. It's so special. So, you are now currently taking over the Broadway.com vlogs in your series Call Me Cherry. So, what inspired you to undertake the vlogs and document your journey as Cherry for the world to see? And I have to say, it's so awesome because it went from Casey to Amber to you. Like, it's all within the same family, and I'm living for it.
It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Um, they asked me if I would do it, and it was the week of opening as well. The week of opening was there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's always everyone's trying to cram everything in at the last minute, which is super fair because there's so much amazing stuff to be done. And I was like, oh man, I'm nervous that I'm not going to be able to give them what they want and also be present. Like I know sometimes having phones in our hands and growing up with phones, it's like easy to kind of suck yourself into that world and not be in the present moment. But it's actually done the complete opposite for me. Like whenever I did the first week, which was the week of opening, I filmed all the stuff of the dress and my clutch and seeing my family and the party, and like I got to watch it back and I was like, this actually was really helpful to keeping me present and in the moment. And now I have this beautiful time capsule gift of what this whole experience was. So it was kind of like it ended up being a gift in itself to me, which was amazing, and I'll cherish it forever.
And no, it's so special. And we have to talk about your iconic opening night dresses. You do it every time. It's so perfect.
Yeah, I had to do something a little bit different from the first time around because with Back to the Future, I knew that we could be crazy. Me and my roommate Brendan. This is the workspace that I'm in right now. Is Brendan's workspace. He is such an amazing creative and one of my all-time favorite collaborators, and we will continue to collaborate for the rest of our lives. I think. When I told him that I wanted to do something crazy, like I was like, I think I want to like I don't know if I want to be the car, but like I want, like, we can go there, you know, like there's room for that in this play. And he, I mean, completely over delivered and exceeded all my expectations as he always does. And he does it in the nick of time. Like he made that dress in like 5 days or something.
No way.
And so with this one, uh, the the importance of being a female presenting person in this show and among this story is not lost on me. It's, yes, it's a story about boys that was written by a woman, right? Like this is all really girl centered at the end of the day. And so I was like, I really want this dress to be created by a woman. Like I want it to be like a woman, I want a woman dress, a woman hair. I just want to lift up women. And the photographer, Rebecca, who took pictures of me, she's also a girly pop. Like I was like, I just want it to be girl, girl, girl all day, all night. And so I worked with another college colleague of mine, Anna Kate, who's a dresser on Hamilton, and she swings on a lot of other shows, but she's also an incredible seamstress and like dress creator. She creates a lot of Easter bonnets, or she created an Easter bonnet a couple of years ago for Broadway Cares that ended up, I think, winning. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And I was like, I don't know if you want to do this, but I would love to collaborate on a dress with you. And she was like, yes. So we worked on making a like 1960s glamour piece that would be something that you would see on a red carpet when the book was originally written. So we ended up with the style that we did, and I didn't want to lean red because I feel like that's what people were expecting when it came to Cherry. But I was like, I think I want like a little like kiss of red. And she did the mock up of the dress with the gold panels and then the red around the neck and the sash down the back. And I was like, mwah, it's perfect, it's perfect, it's perfect.
It
And then
was
I
so
had to get my best friend Brendan to make me a clutch, of course, because no dress is complete without a matching clutch.
it was gorgeous every single time you deliver, every single time. So, The Outsiders opened on Broadway on April 11th, so you're still in the well, still kind of in the early stages of the production.
Thousand
So
percent.
so what aspects of the show and embodying the role of Cherry have brought you the most enjoyment so far, and what are your aspirations as the show continues its run?
That's such a great question. I think now where we are, tomorrow will be a month since opening, which is
Yeah.
so I think we are just now starting to get into like the run, like the feeling of what it means to do 8 shows a week and have one day off and do start up and do it again. One of the things that has been a great gift is just living and breathing on the stage with these artists. They're always alive and there and present, and it's never the same. It's never stale, but it's always true. And so that's been fun to allow every day to be different and trust that it's still saying the same thing. And then for like things that I'm excited for moving forward is I love finding joy in, you know, the offstage tomfoolery, and we've already found so much joy that I'm excited to share on the with the Cherry vlogs, that I hope that we continue to do more fun stuff like that as the weeks go on.
Yeah, and with the Saturday and Sunday nights on Broadway, oh, they're the best.
A blast, super
They're
fun.
oh, the vlogs have been great. It makes you feel like you're a part of it all, and it's just so special to get to feel that magic.
Well, you definitely are a part of it because we feel you all there with us too, for sure.
Oh, it's so awesome. So, looking back on everything you have achieved in the industry so far, what advice would you give to your younger self entering the industry?
Oh man, that's a great question. Um, Trusting your journey, and in trusting your journey, trusting yourself. Like being yourself is always my biggest advice that I give, because that is what makes a Patty LuPone. That is what makes so many iconic people and actors that you know, that you can pinpoint in your head from a performance, is like that's because they bring Christina Link is somebody that comes to my head. Like that person is because she brings her full self to everything that she does, and it's so captivating and amazing because it's hers. And that was something that I remember learning in the search for Roxy. Was it's not about being better than the person next to you. It's about being the most yourself. And if they like the version that you give them, then they will take you and work with you, and they want to get to know you more and bring more parts of who you are out into the piece. And so I think that with that comes, with being in this industry comes rejection. But I think rejection has a bad name in this industry. I think a lot of people are willing to take rejection in the way that you would in your personal life, which typically that reflects who you are and what people think of you. But in this industry, rejection is not a reflection of who you are and what you bring to the table, but a reflection of time and place. It's a reflection of, you know what, actually, I love your work. I actually need someone who's 3 inches taller, but that doesn't mean that you're not amazing and that your work isn't excellent. So trusting yourself, knowing your worth, knowing what you bring to the table, knowing that you're nailing it in the room, and trusting if it's not your time yet, that doesn't mean that you're not good. It means you have more time to get even better and feel even more supported and excited and inspired by who you are by doing more work.
Yeah, no, everyone always says, and I think we hear it a lot in this industry, is be yourself, everyone else is already taken.
100%, it's cliche, but it's true.
True, and then my personal motto is be yourself because you may be inspiring someone by just being you. And I think it's
Yeah,
so special because when you step into a character, obviously, you're playing a character, putting on these different shoes, but
right.
there's always an element of yourself that you bring to that character. And it's so special because you inspire so many people when you're out on that stage, and it's just such a special journey to see.
100%. And you never know whose first time it is seeing the show, witnessing the story, experiencing Broadway. Like it's always so much bigger than the little things that tend to get us down.
It's so special. Thank you so much, Emma, for joining me on The Inspiration Show. You are truly one of my biggest inspirations, and I am so grateful for all you do. It's such an honor to have you in my life and to get to watch you shine. Thank you for inspiring me.
Allison, thank you so much for having me on your show. It was such a gift to get to talk to you today, and it is my great honor to be an inspiration of yours. And I hope that I continue to make you proud as I move forward in my career.
I love you. You're the greatest.
Love ya!